start with the lady at the front, Georgian public broadcaster.
Mr. Secretary General, Georgian Public Broadcaster First Channel, in the morning you said that NATO will develop a substantive package for Georgia. We want to find out more about this package, what elements will be included, and also, second point, about elements. It will be, for example, joint exercises and the strengthening NATO office in Georgia, or something more. Also, we are interested that it will be enough to prepare country for future membership? And also, does it mean that there is no consensus on map? Thank you.
The summit in Wales will not be about a membership action plan, but about more support to bring Georgia closer to NATO. And it will be a substantive package. We will work on that package in close collaboration with Georgia from now until the summit. So I regret to say that I'm not able to outline the specific elements of that package at this stage. It will be elaborated on from now until the summit. Let me stress that the decision we took in Bucharest in 2008 still stands, and you will recall that we decided in Bucharest in 2008 that Georgia will become a member of NATO, provided, of course, that Georgia fulfills the necessary conditions. And the package we will prepare for the summit will bring Georgia closer to NATO.
We have a follow-up question on Georgia here.
Secretary General, you've mentioned that Russia broke the rules. So the question, connection in this area. So we remember the Bucharest summit. There was no map for Georgia, but was the Russian question. After that, it was Russia-Georgian war. So what should be the reaction from Russia today, and what should be the NATO's response if this continues? Thank you. It was Georgian TV company Maestro, Sofia Zurabiani. Thank you.
Yeah, but also Russia subscribed to the basic principle that each and every nation has the right to decide itself which security policies to pursue and the right to decide its alliance affiliation itself. Russia should, of course, respect that commitment, which is part of the OSCE Charter for European Security from 1999. Not only Russia, but all OSCE countries subscribed to that principle, and we stick to that principle. So obviously, everybody should respect Georgia's sovereign choice and Georgia's sovereign decisions on with whom Georgia wants to cooperate.
Montenegro TV.
TV of Montenegro. You said this morning that regarding our country, NATO is going to open intensive and focused talks with Montenegro. And what does it mean? Can you tell us more concretely? And what can we expect in the next period of time regarding our country?
This decision means that we will enter what I would call a new phase in our relationship. We will open what we call focused and intensified talks with Montenegro, which in practical terms means that we will also intensify our assistance to Montenegro as regards the implementation of necessary reforms. Within the current membership action plan, we have identified certain areas where Montenegro needs to do more to fulfill the necessary criteria. And we will now enter a phase where we will focus more directly on some of the most important issues. And then, at the latest by the end of 2015, foreign ministers will assess the progress and make decisions on whether time is ripe to invite Montenegro to join the alliance. This decision reflects that Montenegro has done a lot to fulfill the necessary criteria. And now we really want to assist Montenegro in walking the extra mile. And one of the areas in which we will have a particular focus is security sector reform. I visited Podgorica recently, and I had an opportunity to discuss this in depth with the Montenegrin political leaders. So I think they are very much aware of what is needed. So it is actually a very positive decision that will be taken, as it is for Georgia. I mean, the decisions that are now being prepared for the summit will be very positive and very important decisions on NATO's open door policy.
BBC.
Does it mean that we can expect invitation as soon as we are ready? We don't have to wait for another summit. It can happen when we fulfill our obligations, that we are ready for NATO, and ministers can decide to invite us to join you.
Yeah, I think it's an important point to stress that it's not necessarily a summit decision to extend an invitation. Usually in the past, such invitations have been extended at summits, but there is no requirement that it should be a summit. Foreign ministers, for instance, could decide to invite a country to join the alliance, which means, of course, an invitation doesn't mean that the final decision has been made, but it's an invitation to start the final talks, to prepare the final documents. But you're right, it's not necessarily for a summit to take the decision. Ministers can take that decision. But it would be premature to make any assessment now whether time is ripe when we reach the end of 2015, but foreign ministers will assess the situation at the latest by the end of 2015 and take the necessary decisions.
BBC.
Secretary General Jonathan Marcus, BBC. You've stressed throughout this morning, as you have many times before, the need to keep NATO's door open, the fact that no third country has any veto over other countries joining NATO. Clearly, though, some of the countries with which NATO is stepping up its ties have outstanding territorial problems, problems that lead them potentially into direct confrontation with Russia. Do you envisage a situation where a country could still have outstanding territorial problems involving Russia and it could still become a member of the alliance? Because if you don't, then Russia does effectively have a veto over some countries joining NATO.
And for this very reason, of course, we won't identify specific areas that will be taken into account when we make a decision on possible membership for a specific country, because at the end of the day, it will be an overall political assessment that will lead to the final decision to invite a country to join our alliance. Let me refer to Article 10 in the NATO Treaty, which clearly outlines two very important elements that should be taken into account when we decide to invite a country to join our alliance. Article 10 states that we can invite European countries to join our alliance if they are in a position to improve Euro-Atlantic security and further the principles upon which our societies are built. These are the two criteria, and these are the criteria that will constitute the foundation for any decision within NATO on future enlargement.
We have time for one last question, NPR.
Terry Schultz with CBS News Today. Mr. Secretary General, once again, one of your allies, Turkey, has at its border more instability, more fear that fighting will be reaching NATO's own border. I understand that Iraq has come up. The issue of Iraq has come up in discussions around the table. Is NATO thinking of sending any trainers? How concerned are you that one of Turkey's other borders is now at the edge of such huge turmoil? Thank you.
Obviously, we are very much concerned about the situation in Iraq, but actually very much concerned about the situation in the region as such. These issues have also been raised during our discussions, not least, of course, raised by our Turkish friends. For many good reasons, they are very much concerned about the situation close to their borders. And I can assure you that NATO allies stand together in solidarity and unity, and we are focused on providing effective defense and protection of all our allies, including Turkey. And as you know, this is a reason why we have deployed Patriot missiles to Turkey to defend the Turkish population and society against potential missile attacks, and we will not hesitate to take the necessary steps to ensure such effective defense and protection of Turkey. We have not discussed that. As you know, NATO had a training mission in Iraq some years ago. We had to close it down when the Iraqi authorities decided to not prolong the necessary legal and security arrangements. So we had to stop our training activities in Iraq. If I may, I could add, lessons learned from that experience, of course, is how important it is to train and educate local security forces appropriately. And this is exactly the reason why we plan to deploy a training mission to Afghanistan from the 1st of January 2015. But we will revert to that issue later today. Thank you.
Indeed. Sorry for not having time to take more questions. We'll come back later.